Hello everyone, we're back again for another Inventory Hive live stream, and it's quite an important one we think this week, Alex. I know we usually do them Fridays, but we've been stacked out the last couple of weeks with various new updates, and I know you've been a bit busy visiting some clients as well, haven't you, Alex? So yeah.
Yeah, and because obviously it's an important topic, we thought we'd move it from a Friday, Fun Day Friday, and bring it to
Yeah,
the start of the week because it's such an important and hot topic, and that's not a pun intended either, thinking
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I never thought about it that way. Yeah, you
Yeah,
just
I
had to
didn't
sneak
mean
that
the
one in.
pun when I said it, no.
But yeah, it's although it's probably not the most exciting of topics, but it is really important. And since we pushed this update out last week, you were saying, Alex, about the feedback you've had already, especially from build to rent clients, student accommodation. But before we come on to that, we'll probably best tell everyone what the update is. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, so basically on early last week, we put an update out about fire door compliance. Um, so since in January, it's compulsory or legal requirement for, say, build to rent operators or student accommodation or even HMOs. It's basically buildings with multi-occupied residential buildings in England with stories over 11 meters in height, and they've got to do some fire door compliance checks now. And what we've done within Image Hive is enabled a feature within the reports which allows you to answer those questions and then embed them in your reports. And back onto the feedback, Alex. I know you said about people coming back to you already. What kind of feedback have you had, and why is it important?
very positive from all of the clients that I've spoke to directly about this update, actually.
Yeah,
Essentially, what our reporting platform allows you to do is complete condition cleanliness checks on apartments, any maintenance works, but now also the audit trail of fire door inspection. So, as Mitch was speaking about there, any buildings with multi-occupied dwellings within, now their front door at least needs to be checked annually as a bare
yeah,
minimum. I'd always recommend apartment entrances to be checked more frequently than that. So if you're doing a check-in inventory and then you go in and speak with the resident at 6 months and doing a midterm, for example, you should be checking those fire doors are still compliant at those stages, just for the added audit trail. But we've enabled it within all report types on the system now, so it
yeah,
can be included within those interim or midterm checks as well
yeah,
as your check-in and check-out process.
yeah. I'll share my screen now and just show everyone exactly how it works. But it, in a nutshell, one of the main reasons we've enabled it within all report types is because, like you said, Alex, it's people want to do it at check-in, so they know everything's fine and dandy for when the tenant moves in. But also, like we've got a call with a student accommodation provider this afternoon about they want to continuously do these fire door inspections, and they can do during their midterm inspections as well.
Well, if you
Um,
imagine that, obviously, I mean, less so in student accommodation, but certainly within build to rent, you're actually
yeah,
finding these residents are staying with operators for, like, obviously every site is different, but on average, it's like 18 to 24 months now. So
yeah,
if you were only doing it at check in and check out process, you're actually not compliant because it needs to be done annually. So if that resident were with you for 24 months, you've technically been uncompliant for 12 months of that. So what we've done is enable it within a midterm inspection as well. So then you can go. I mean, I'm always going to encourage a midterm inspection is done anyway from a resident satisfaction perspective. We've been
yeah,
told that going and just having a chat, is there any maintenance issues within your apartment, is always a way to benefit from customer experience, but also stop you accruing any major maintenance works at the checkout because you've had the opportunity to remedy them as they've come up. But
yeah,
also now, without going off on a tangent, you can pull it back and include your fire door safety compliance checks within
yeah,
those as well.
yeah. Nice. I'm just on the fire door compliance section now on a report that I'm just creating. One of the first questions that we'll ask you is whether you want to answer these questions. Basically, it puts a nice little note in here just to make sure you're going to answer these questions correctly. And there's also some nice little tool tips as well
Those
against each
tooltips are
question.
very helpful because,
Mm,
I mean, well, I was going to say obviously it's not obvious at all, but I am in, certified as a fire door inspector, and
yeah,
so I understand what these questions are relating to. However, the tooltips this is a visual check, and it doesn't need to be conducted by somebody that has a certificate to say they can do so. But those tooltips will just further enable the understanding behind
Yeah,
those questions are alluding to, necessarily the reasons why as well. So, say for example, there's a question within there that it does the fire door still have a maximum gap of 4 mil around
yeah,
around the frame, for example, and then the tooltip relating to it says the ideal standard is between 2 and 4 mil.
yeah,
Just as an example, so it further aids to the understanding. And as we say, these are visual checks, so then you've got an audit trail. You can add photos to them as well, so they're date stamped as
yeah,
is the norm with any of the with the photos taken within our inventory reports anyway, and then signed off by the inspector. So that is a visual check, and then you can evidence on the system what date that was last checked, should you ever get audited, for example.
yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, and then you just simply answer these questions, and they'll automatically get embedded in your report. So the good thing about these questions as well is it saves you. It's just like a nice prompt for you to do. It's like it
Yeah,
just shows you're on top of things. It makes sure you don't forget things as well to make sure, and you're answering all of the right questions. So I've just answered these questions. If you mark them as not applicable, then that question will get removed from your report straight away. But I'm just
yeah.
going to
So
click done.
there's
Yeah,
questions in there relating to letterboxes, for example. Obviously, a lot of apartment entrance doors don't have letterboxes because they've
yeah,
got parcel storage solutions in their
yes,
entrance way, for example. But that way, then it's not included within the final render of the
yeah.
report.
And just to touch on this as well briefly as well as the fire door compliance a few weeks ago as well, we also included some health and safety alarm compliance as well. So again, this is crucial to make sure your properties compliant to the relevant legislation. I think these were mainly based on the 1st of October 2022.
Yeah.
And again, crucial from a build to rent perspective as well as a PRS perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, you mentioned there about build to rent perspective. Obviously, these questions are optional. So you don't. So even though the
yes,
fire door section is available within Inventory Hive, if it's not relevant to the dwelling that you're completing a report on, you don't have to include it. You
yeah.
can just select no.
Yeah, exactly that. So I've just answered these questions. I'm just going to preview the report, and as you know, when you create reports on InvenTribe, they get updated pretty instantly. And because of the importance of these legislation questions, these get slotted in at the top of your report. They're also color coded as well, your answers. So if they're in green, it's a positive answer, where if it's in a blue, it's a negative answer, and it draws your attention to that straight away. So these fire door compliance checklist questions get slotted in at the top of your report. So um, like the inspector, the property manager, or even the tenant can see at a glance, um, everything looks good there. And the good thing about that as well, Alex, is as you know from a fire door inspectors, being fire door inspector certified, it's an important step to make sure this is done.
Yeah, and being able to include it within your normal reporting type
Yeah,
anyway, it means that you don't have to do two jobs to some
yes,
extent. It's
yeah,
two birds, one stone. I mean, I appreciate that sometimes the dates might not align and you want to do them, so you always do all of your fire door inspections on a certain date, for example, and then that just generates for every 12 months. However, I would advise, out of pure simplicity for me, if it was me operating on a site, I'd align it with my midterm
yeah,
inspections for that reason.
yeah, because like some people might think, oh, I've got to do two separate reports on this, but merging it into one just
Yeah.
saves a lot of time. As you know, you get unlimited reports anyway, so some people might want to do it separately, but if you just merge it into one, you're killing two birds with one stone.
We're about efficiencies, aren't we, Mitch, where we
Yeah,
can be?
yeah. So that's the fire door compliance stuff. But another little update we've done as well is we've put this all over our socials as well, and I know you've had some feedback on this already as well, Alex. About we've done a new feature called text tool features. So
The simple
the,
updates are very often our best updates, to be
yes,
honest.
I was literally about to say that. Literally about to say that. So I'll just share my screen again. So on the same report now, this is available on desktop and app. And what you can do now is when you're doing a report, so if you want to highlight anything specifically? It could be a smoke alarm or anything
I was
like
going
that.
to say, I went out and completed some reports, well, a few days last week, but I went to a development in London on Friday.
Yeah,
And even though in our smoke alarm section, we've always covered things off and said that obviously it's a wired smoke alarm, ceiling mounted, test functions working, I've
yeah,
now started to highlight, in addition to the compliance element that Mitch is doing now, so the date that you tested it can be flagged
yeah,
within the report. I've I highlighted and bolded the fact that the test function was working, just so that it really stood out in that final report as an audit trail evidence. Because part of the legal requirement is that you test that smoke alarm on the day that a tenancy starts,
yeah,
on the tenancy start date, so as they're moving in. So I've just covered that just for to aid in additional compliance element to avoid any doubt at all that it had been tested. It jumps out of the screen at you.
yeah. So I've just highlighted that exact word in there. So the test functions working, highlighted, underlined, pull it in bold as well. And when I
Go
click
the whole,
save it,
whole 9 yards.
the whole 9 yards. And now I've done that, like you said, Alex, when I just preview my report now, I'll just scroll down to that section. Um, it just sticks out like a sore thumb, just there. So
Yeah.
I've cloned that across to the other smoke alarms in the property as well. So yeah, so it's a nice little feature, a simple update, but like I said, the simple ones are the most efficient ones and the most popular ones
You
with our
know what?
users.
Usually the ones that take our development team less time
Yeah,
to implement are the ones that receive the best feedback from our users.
yeah,
And then other times we can spend 6 months developing things, and then obviously they're nice to have, but we don't get as much feedback as what doesn't take as much time, which
yeah,
it always makes us a little bit baffled, doesn't it, Mitch?
yeah. And it's like we put some really our development team, which is all in-house based in the UK, they put some hard work in these features, and sometimes we don't get them right, but when we do,
it,
it's like I said,
it's nice,
yeah,
yeah.
it is nice. It is
It's
nice.
nice to hear the positive feedback as well, and
Yeah,
meaning that we're having a positive impact on our user base. I mean, we're always looking to add more features. We've got a development roadmap as long as
long,
whatever,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
As long as
and
a piece of string.
that, yeah, we'll go with a piece of string,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we've got a long development roadmap. Always looking to add more features, and we don't exactly slow down on that front either.
yeah,
So it's nice when it's appreciated from the
yeah.
user base.
No, that's good. Just to finally recap on this live stream today. So we pushed an update out on the FIDO compliance checklist questions, which you can now embed in your report. Um, Ideally, yeah, it's to undertake annual checks on all apartment entrance doors that lead onto buildings or common parts. And it's also good practice to undertake quarterly checks of all fire doors in common parts as well. But the thing with this as well, Alex, as I'm sure most build to rent providers have said to you already, is the trying to think of the right word, the punishment as such, or if you get caught out not doing this, is
It's not worth it, to be
it's
honest.
definitely not worth it. There's I'm sure there's high fines, but also from a reputation side of things as well, is
Yeah.
it's important to do. Um, so
So
yeah,
we've
that
just made that element easier, to be honest. So
as simple as possible. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I appreciate everyone's time today. Any questions at all, just get in touch with myself or Alex. Alex is Mr. Build to Rent on LinkedIn. I'm sure you've seen his LinkedIn posts everywhere. But if you want to get in touch, just drop us an email at info@imagehive.co.uk or just drop me and Alex a message on LinkedIn or anything like that, and we'll happily get in touch and help you with anything like that. So thanks for your time today. And Alex, anything to end with, or you're happy?
No, I'm happy with that, Mitch. I think we covered
Nice.
everything off. Nice way to start the week with an important topic, and I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
see you all soon.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Have a great week.
Take care.